Throughout the long, complex history of human rank and absolute power, the slender hound has remained a constant, perfectly silent companion. This pairing of aristocrat and animal relies on a highly deliberate artistic and heraldic convention. 17th century portraiture uses the dog as a direct signifier of elite status, relying on a strict compositional balance between the duke and the hound. Artists specifically emphasized the animal's biology, the tucked waist and long limbs, to make the symbolism of refinement visually plausible. The animal's physical form was co-opted to make human aristocratic symbolism look legitimate. This raises a question. Did the greyhound's natural qualities compel noble admiration, or did society invent its nobility to signal its own exclusive power? The history of the greyhound records the process of human societies turning animals into signs. This process creates a political anatomy, where a biological organism is subjected to strict legal and cultural machinery to become a tool of class division. Decoding the noble hound requires examining the raw bookkeeping, the restrictive laws, and the human social architecture beneath the myth. Canine history is often distorted by the conflation of the modern breed with the historical type. The modern greyhound is an administrative triumph governed by closed registries and kennel standards. In contrast, the historical sighthound is a functional morphological type adapted for visual pursuit. The modern administrative framework is too rigid to contain the broad spectrum of the historical type. Forcing an ancient Egyptian depiction into the modern breed box breaks the historical evidence. This error replaces genuine historical inquiry with pedigree vanity. Labeling an ancient Egyptian dog a greyhound allows modern administrative categories to colonize the past. Utilizing extreme biological speed requires a highly specific environment. Speed requires a specific ecological and social stage to operate. A visual hunter requires vast open land, available quarry, human handlers, and extensive time. This network proves the dog as evidence of a broader social ecology. In medieval and early modern contexts, only the elite possessed the resources to maintain this network. Using the hound was an explicit demonstration of surplus, using resources for sport rather than subsistence. The greyhound became a marker of status because its biological needs perfectly mirrored the prerequisites of elite property rights. Medieval forest laws codified the restriction of these hounds to enforce class boundaries. The hound provided mobile status, a portable, performing display of rank that traveled with the court. Collars and leashes functioned as legal markers of property rather than simple accessories. Elite sporting culture relied on these technologies of physical control. The posture of the hounds represents biological flight held tightly in the grammar of rank. This socio-ecological model exists far beyond Britain. The borzoi adapts the rhetoric of height to the long-coded ceremony of the Russian aristocratic theater. The Irish wolfhound serves a different cultural function, acting as a vessel for national memory and ancestral loss. Speed was physically downsized and democratized through the class transformation of the whippet. The lurcher is the antithesis of the noble hound, a practical crossbreed designed for illicit utility in the dark. The lurcher's absence from official archives proves the rule of elite visibility. Different environments demand different morphological and social adaptations. Canine morphology acts as a direct biological mirror, reflecting regional, class, and legal structures. Our aesthetic appreciation of the hound is built upon legal and economic realities. Humans intrinsically admired animals that could bypass human physical limitations, such as extreme velocity. The aristocracy co-opted this natural admiration by utilizing law to restrict access to these biological advantages. Society called the result noble, while behaving as though the compliment cost them something, though the result was entirely engineered. The hound's nobility is a deliberate cultural fiction, blending aesthetic beauty with ruthless economic bookkeeping. The pipeline is consistent. Biological capacity enables practical use. Use becomes socially restricted, and restriction converts utility into prestige. The history of the greyhound reveals the specific mechanics of human social architecture. We watch the transformation of biological flesh into political symbol. The Noble Hound stands as the ultimate historical proof of humanity's desire to turn nature itself into a codified emblem of our own unequal power.